Welcome back to Horizon 180. As we mentioned before, as Manuk said, we have the honor of hosting Yersapet Chouldjian, Elizabeth Chouldjian, Communications Director of the Armenian National Committee of America, here on the West Coast. We see Elizabeth on Horizon 3 or 4 times a week with updates. You are the eyes and ears of our community on Capitol Hill. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Paul, for having me. I
mentioned earlier you were here because of an event over the weekend. What were you doing?
I had the great honor to reconnect with my AYF roots this weekend and go to the AYF educational seminar up at AYF camp. And the educational committee graciously invited me to be the director for this weekend. And it was just a great opportunity to meet incredible young people talking about the issues affecting Armenians today. So it was just a kind of a great way to talk to our youth and really understand where they're coming from.
Well, you were one of those incredible people in your days from the Bay Area. You grew up there, you were in the AYF, and then you ran the ANC office up there. Do you see promising young people that are going to be able to follow in your footsteps someday?
Absolutely. These young people had such depth in all the information and all the discussions that they had. The program weekend was based on discussing the diasporan community and issues facing the diaspora, including apathy, as well as dealing with repatriation and how best our community, our youth, can help the homeland. And the discussions that we had, the lectures that we had, truly gave these young people the opportunity not just to discuss the abstract, but to discuss how they individually can take part in the solution of dealing with these issues.
Fantastic. We're going to talk more about all of these issues specifically, but I want to bring in Haytoug. Alan is here because this weekend he premiered the latest issue of Haytoug, and a lot of the issues that we're talking about, the apathy, the repatriation, assimilation, you had a lot of conversation based on articles in here. Talk about what's inside this issue.
Right. Well, the basic title of this issue and the theme is cut my branches, burn my leaves, but you'll never touch my roots.
Powerful.
It's very. And the assimilation theme, the diaspora theme in the educational seminar ran hand in hand with this Haytoug. It was very complementary. You could be sitting in one lecture that talked about assimilation, community development, and there were passages in an article called Ayzartonk that rang so true that you could just read it and answer a question from that article. So a lot of our participants were reading it on their break, reading it at lunch, dinner, took it home with them, kind of building on what they learned up at camp. And just to run through the issue, we have this has an April 24th component and beyond, because it's about preserving and advancing and developing our culture, not just crying or being sorry about the past, but also working to build the future.
And you have some incredible young people in there that are building futures that we would have never anticipated. The first article right off the bat after your editorial is about Alexis Ohanian. Tell us about Alexis.
So Alexis Ohanian is the founder of an internet startup called Reddit, which basically is all about citizen journalism. And you, as the reader, get to vote up an article of interest to you and determine if it's on the front page or not. So this one page, very simple, gets about 7 million hits a month, or I think 7 million hits a day, I'm sorry. And it basically allows me to go on and say, post a link, and then people will, if they like it, vote up or down. So he spoke at a TED conference recently.
Technology, education, and what is it? Entertainment and...
I think development.
Yeah.
And this is a big thing. It's global. It happens all the time. Great minds discussing great ideas. And he gave a 4-minute simple talk about social media and networking. And then he went to Armenia right after that. And then all of a sudden we find out that Alexis Ohanian is teaming up with another organization to start a TED conference in Yerevan discussing issues of globalization, of international law and genocide, of reparations.
Haytoug was all over the story, and you can read it right in your copy of Haytoug. Or you can go online. You have all this stuff up on a website, I hope?
Yeah, haytoug.org.
Okay.
And just this is how you spell it. Oh.
And if people want to get a hold of this hard copy, where can they contact you?
Well, we have a number of distribution methods. You can come to the AYF West office and pick one up. The address is on the Haytoug website. Or you can go to haytoug.org /subscribe and subscribe by mail, and we'll mail you one. Or you can just download the PDF.
Fantastic. Now, so you went through your days of contributing pieces to Haytoug. Was this the kind of dialogue you guys were having back in the day, a few years ago?
Well, I have to tell you, I was on the editorial board of the Haytoug probably a couple of decades ago now.
I wouldn't say decades.
But I will tell you that how far Haytoug has come in this equation is just absolutely amazing. The breadth of articles that they're bringing in, the young people that they're bringing in, not just from the Western region, but from the U.S., across the board, and around the world, bringing in the Hayastan perspective, the Artsakh perspective, the European perspective, and the U.S. perspective, all from a AYF youth viewpoint. It's phenomenal.
And which was not possible before the internet. So.
Oh, certainly not. You know, it was just so difficult to bring together the young people. We used to go through jamborees, if it was in Greece, if it was in our, certainly we didn't have the Armenia option at the time. And so now we're looking at, through the internet, really connecting everybody and getting one kind of voice coming through with all the different kind of a music coming through with all the different voices coming in. It was great.
It's a symphony.
It sure is.
Because you had in this one issue, like you said, we have the diasporan American or the diasporan Canadian writing in here, along with the Armenia native writing in here in English. And we've got interviews with people from all walks of life, the filmmakers from Hayastan, the filmmaker from the U.S. It's pretty amazing.
These are the types of fantastic things that today's youth are doing, that the AYF is doing. And I saw example of that at the AYF educational seminar this past weekend. You know, during the actual lectures themselves, the discussion was great. But even in the off sections, when kids were just trying to take a break, the whole discussion was, how do we make Armenia better, how do we make our nation better, and how do we work better here in the diaspora? And it was just absolutely inspiring to see that.
Fantastic. Now, this is what you do on the national scale in Washington, D.C. Grassroots journalism is what Haytoug and Aspares do. Grassroots activism is what you do. Right. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and we're going to ask you what you've been up to in D.C. and what took you from San Francisco in your AYF days to this prominent position in Washington. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Alan, thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Stay with us.